colleagues. My name is Claudia Abar, and I am a kindergarten teacher in District 4. I'm also one of your virtual content specialists for kindergarten math. For today's video, we wanted to draw your attention to week 26, which is going to have the beginning of Unit 5. Unit 5, day 1, begins in Unit 6, day 4. So when you first get here to the slides, you will see that the focus question is, how can we count objects into piles of 10 and count the piles as 10 ones? Now, when you get to the implementation slide for your mini lesson, it says teachers should gather 40 pennies and an egg carton or a 10 frame. Position the camera to display demonstration table with the materials. Now, for me, this seemed a little problematic. I do have a document camera, but manipulating items so that my children, my kindergarten children especially, are engaged can be really hard. So we wanted to create a video so that we gave you the option of doing this on a virtual app so that it will be both engaging and easy for the children to see what it is that you're doing. So let's get to that right now. The app that we're going to be using is the Number Frames from the Math Learning Center. We have used this app before. If you need access to it, you can use this QR code or copy this web address, and it will bring you here. Now we are going to create the 40 pennies. So let's just go ahead and count them as 10. You can click by ones, by fives, by tens. And I recommend having this done prior to your children seeing it. I will show you how to do that in a second. So you will have this, and then you will also add one of the 10 frames. I will end up using more than one 10 frame, but in the beginning, when I show this to the children, this is what I will want them to see. Since you will be starting with this, you can go ahead and save this by clicking on share. It will create a code for you, which you can then cut and paste, and then use this as the beginning. So you would ask the children, what are some of the things that you notice? And then we are going to tell them that we want to count all these items into groups of 10. What are some ways that we can do that? Now, we hope that the children will say using a 10 frame, which we have here. They might say some other things, but let's guide them into using the 10 frame. And then once we do that, let's go back into the slide to read it again. Today, we are going to do some counting. Take a look at all the materials that I have here. What do you notice? Does anyone have any ideas on how we can count them into 10? Somebody might say we can drop a penny into each one of the spaces in the egg carton or the 10 frame. And when it's full, we know we have 10. And I'm going to demonstrate moving them into a pile. So let's go into that. Let me start with this row down here. You will go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now we know that here we have 10. How will we move this from one side to another? We don't really need to move it anywhere, but if you wanted to keep it somewhat organized so they can see it, I will go ahead and show you how to do that. I will click on the pencil option. I will put it in the side to side position, which is the one that allows me to trace something like this so that it can be easily highlighted. So now you see the whole thing is highlighted, and you can go ahead and move this group down here. So now you have one group of 10. We're going to repeat the process of counting the other groups. So we're going to go ahead and do this 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I like to count in different ways, as I'm sure that you're noticing. Some of you might need additional practice, or some of your children might need additional practice with 5 groups. And for those children, of course, count in the 5-group way because they will make it easier. For my children, since I am pushing them outside of what we call for the boundaries at this point, I want to make sure that I show them a bunch of different ways. So I'm going to go ahead and again highlight this, making sure that I don't touch the set that I have underneath. Did not highlight for me. Make sure that it does here. Good. So now I can go ahead and move this. And it is again your preference how you sort this, how you display them. I will go ahead and count. This one I will do in the 5-group way because there are a lot of different ways to do this. 3, making sure that your children are counting with you. Making sure that you stop after each set. How many do we have? We have 10 ones. We're going to say that we have 10 ones because we move each item, each penny individually, and that is ultimately the goal of what we are trying to push for them to do today. So again, I will trace this. I will now be able to move this over, and then I will sort my final group. So far we have 3 groups of 10. We have counted. the counters one by one. We started with 40. So how many groups are we going to be able to create? We will see this in 1 second, that we created 4 groups of 10. And then we also will remind them that these are 10 ones in each group. Now it's important that we do the sorting activity with the children because it keeps them engaged. Go back into the slide before I finish the share. After we do this, let's look at all the pennies. What are some of the noticings? Before we counted, they were all in one big pile. Now it's in smaller piles. There are 4 piles. Each pile has 10 pennies. You also want to ask them, how many times did we count 10 once with our pennies? And remind them that these counters are meant to stand in for pennies today. You want them to say, we counted 4 times. We created 4 piles of 10. Kindergarten is a challenging grade, so we have to find ways to keep it exciting, but we also have to find ways to make it a little bit easier on ourselves. I try to create this problem with different objects to count, and I ended up dropping some, losing some, being out of focus in some others. I'm sure you have a million techniques of how to do this. We wanted to present a virtual option so that you have that option as well. Thank you for watching. See you next time.